whether you keep them in your home or love to see them in theirs, these are the creatures that bring us all together.
Reptiles. We're going to be delving into the experiences of reptile lovers from around the block and around the world. This is the Reptile Talk Podcast. What's up, everybody? This is Jeremy Turgeon from Brassman Reptiles.
And I'm Rob, and I'm keeping it real.
And we've got a super ridiculous guest here tonight. I don't even know why. I think we ran out of guests already. We're 36. What the fuck?
Something episodes in.
Dude, and we ran out of people. We found some fucking schmuck down the road here who had, I think, an NARBC shirt that had some bleach stains, so I'm pretty sure it came from McCurley's fucking laundry room. And he said that he owned a corn snake once and a 12-foot ball python, so we figured this would be pretty fucking interesting.
Had to have him on.
And I don't know, he might not even be from here. He had a cool picture of a snake on his phone, but it also looked like a dick. So I don't know.
No.
I don't know what we're doing. Okay, but who do we really have?
For real, though. So we've got the wonderful Owen McIntyre from Rogue Reptiles and Morelia Python Radio. How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing all right, man. And, you know, that's not far off. I mean, you're close. You're pretty close. I do wander around in old NARBC shirts that I'm pretty sure I stole from Kevin. So, well, I come up to Nerd like twice, and I'm like, I got to get shirts.
I got to get it. Yep.
Dude.
Just wandering around. He finds the back room. He's like, oh, free shirts. I got
free
this.
shirts.
I wait for you guys to like show somebody like snakes, and I just sneak out and behind him.
Oh, it's like, they're showing ball pythons. It's going to take 5 minutes for him to list off all those genes, so I'm just going to go duck out and find something cool.
Slowly back up as Rob's showing off the scrub. He's got everyone's attention. I just back out slowly. Yeah.
No one's going to notice.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, boy. So if anybody is wondering why I just went on that tangent, it's because Owen said we couldn't use his real name or mention NPR. So I was like, perfect. Perfect.
It's one of those things where if you're going to you ask the guest every time, and it's just kind of like a cordial thing. Like, is there anything we don't want to talk about, everything you don't want to mention?
Yeah.
And I've started just having fun with that, where it's like, you cannot mention this. And people get confused because I'm like, you can never mention the rough scale. Like, but
you're the rough scale guy.
Those are like your favorite snakes. They are.
Yep.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck. I like that. I really do like that.
You got to be like, I will not answer any questions during the show. It can only be made in statements.
Statements.
I'll only reply back to statements.
I'm going to limit you to 1,000 words. Go.
There we go. Go.
Oh, no.
After that, whatever time that ends up being, we're done. The interview's over. I'm hanging up.
Yep.
You get into it's like, I got to keep it interesting. I got to keep doing something.
After 10 years of NPR, you got to keep it interesting somehow, right?
Start figuring out how to shorthand your voice. Like, how can I?
No, you're just talking accents all the time.
Yeah, just pick one.
I've done that at Nerd. I've done that at Nerd on certain days. I'll just only talk in a British accent the whole day. It throws people off so much. They're
very
like,
true.
When did you guys hire a British guy? When they call on the phone, they're like, some British guy answered the phone. I don't know.
I think it was.
Oh boy.
I think it was when I was working for my father. I decided to respond to him in only 80s movies quotes the entire day.
Oh my God, yes.
He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's heavy, Doc." And he's like, "What?"
That's great.
What is wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, so
you're like, the force is strong with this one.
Interesting. You got to keep it interesting.
Yeah,
dude, I'm very much about all of this right now. We could just talk
about
about this.
No, I put my foot down right now.
Reptiles.
Listen, okay, Owen. For the people who may not know NPR or you, how did you get your start in reptiles?
It was like everybody's got that story of like, you know, I was totally dinosaurs as a kid, and I was one of those kids. But I was actually terrified of snakes when I was younger. My cousins and I were playing by a creek in PA, and an eastern water like shot by my foot. Mm-hmm. And it was a big size one, and I like freaked out, and I ended up falling down this embankment on all this shale and stuff. So I got carved up, and I just was not okay with them for a while. And then I'm like, in high school, I kind of started doing they're not so bad, and kind of doing this, like, interested in that, because I was interested in turtles and tortoises and stuff like that. And then in college, my first roommate in college was Chris Foley.
Oh, damn.
Oh wow.
What an
Yeah.
adventure.
So he and I move in together, and the first thing he does is bring a leucistic Texas rat snake to the dorm room that nails him right in the face, and he's
Oh,
bleeding everywhere.
Yes.
That sounds like
And
Chris.
I'm just like, I'm like, all right, you have my interest. So we go to Hamburg of all shows, and I get a smooth scale green snake, which if you want to put on the scale of a good beginner snake, this is nowhere near it. Like
not even-
nowhere
no,
near it. But
no.
but it's what always people kind of go to because it's small and it's tiny. Oh, and he eats
They eat
crickets.
crickets. Oh my
No,
god!
that's
And it's like, no, they're
stupid.
terrible. Yeah, don't do that.
The dumbest idea. So that thing died within like a month, and we went back to Hamburg. I remember going to I think it was Rick Crumine's table, and I got Cali King, and then that was it. We were done. And then on my 18th birthday, my fiance Melissa actually got me my first carpet python, and then that was it. Totally, just like we went from one carpet to 12 carpets illegally kept in the dorm room to 15. I think was my max. And if they had caught me, I would still be paying the fines to my college.
Probably,
So,
yeah.
yep.
I
That was pretty much it.
when I was in college, my family went away for a week or something, and I had chameleons growing up, and those are not an animal that you can leave alone for a week. Besides, like all the snakes and everything. So they were like, "Hey, can you like keep the chameleon at your dorm room?" And I was like, "Where the hell am I going to put a screen enclosure with a dripper and lights all in my dorm room? Do you know how quickly I'm gonna get busted?" They're like, "Oh, you'll figure it out," and they literally were just like, "Peace," and they left. So I cleared out everything in my closet, and I set it up in my closet and like put towels all along the bottom of the door, and like always kept the light on in the room so that if anyone came in, it wasn't like conspicuous.
Why the closet's glowing?
Why it's glowing? Yeah. And I was just like, "Oh my god, that was so bad." And then
I'm just growing pot. Don't worry about it.
dude,
don't worry about it. It's
my
fine.
fucking
Yeah.
roommate was one of those people who was like, "I'm gonna try growing pot in the room," and I was like,
Oh,
"No,
no.
you're gonna raise the flag. They're gonna come bust me over your dumbass. Why?"
It was so we had the same thing. We were in a 4-man, so we had one bedroom with me and Ryan roommate, a common room, and then the other one.
Same thing.
His girlfriend answers it with the ferret, and they're like, "Oh, we're coming in to do an inspection," and my other roommate's like, "Whoa, they're not home." "No, you're not." And he calls me, and I literally ran from work to my dorm. I threw all of my snakes in pillowcases, shoved them all in a duffel bag, and then I'm walking out with them all on my back as the security and RAs are walking in, and I'm like, "Oh, anyway, bye."
Damn.
Like, oh yeah, that was the last time they were on campus, and I was just like, that was too
close for comfort. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fuck that. No, thank you.
Yeah. It's much easier to do it now out in the open, where I don't have to I just get freaked out when the cable guy comes, and I have my licenses framed up on the wall. I'm like, nope, see, like I'm okay.
Yeah, this is
Please
fine.
don't call animal control. Yeah, so.
Dude, it's weird. Like places like Massachusetts, they've got laws on the books that are like geared towards cats and dogs, and they're like, you can't have more than 4 of the same species in your home, or it's considered hoarding, like animal hoarding. And I'm like, oh, if they only knew, I've got 40 Borneo short-tailed pythons, and it's like, oh, yikes.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah.
terrible.
We won't talk about how many animals I have.
You never count, but then you do accidental things in the care of the animals that reveals the number, and then you have to sit there for a day, and you're like, damn it. Like,
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Or like you're trying to tally up space just so you have an idea of how many new baby racks you might need, and then you're like, wait, but I already have X number of baby bins. Why don't I have more room?
Wait a minute. And that was when I moved from my mom's place out here. I'm like, oh God, I got so much more room for racks and cages. And like now I'm sitting here, I'm like, I got no fucking room. What the hell? Well, time to move again. It's like you always run out of space. So
That's true. It's
You
true.
can never have enough caging.
Yeah.
Never.
Well, I remember when I was still living with my folks, I would always try to wedge new cages in places somewhere. My mom would always be like, "There's no room. There's no more room. I don't know how the fuck you think you're gonna do this." And I'm like, "Hey, There's always room.
There's always
space.
And,
Don't worry, I got it.
And I remember when I had I bought a bunch of 32 quart racks because I was really hardcore into colubrids at the time, and I had this one rack and no real good space to put it, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking figure this out. If it's the last thing I do for the rest of the week, Christ, I'm gonna figure this out. So I had this part where the racks from one wall met the racks from another wall, and then there was this gap in the middle of the corner of the walls. And I was like, oh, fuck it. These things are all on casters. I'm just going to wedge this in that freaking corner. And then whenever I need to get to it, I'll just move one rack out and whatever. And I literally did that. And I remember I got my mom. I was like, I figured it out. I made the space. It is effectively used. And she was like, where the fuck's that last rack? And I was like, just peer your eyes in between that sliver of space right there, and you'll be amazed. And she just looked at me, shook her head, and was like, this is fucking ridiculous. And I was like, I know.
It is. And we all know it is, but we're not going to stop.
Exactly.
No, we agree. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on the same page. But then it's like, now listen, I'm on the same page with you, but there's still 2.5 feet of space from the top of this rack to the ceiling, so I can fit something else there.
Just a little cage on top,
Yeah, it might be like a good 55 quart bin for an Amazon tree boa. We might just, it's fine. Don't stress it.
That's the most dangerous thing when you find a cage guy who will do custom caging where it's like, oh, really?
Oh.
Well, we're going to do every inch. Got it.
Yeah.
14 and a half inches to the ceiling? I need a 13-inch cage. Thank you.
Dude, I remember.
Really long.
Yeah. I remember stacking. So I had one wall in my parents' house that was like my big snake wall. And I literally remember setting that up. And it was, okay, here's one cage. Here's the next cage on top. Here's the next cage on top. And getting to the last cage, I had about a 1/4 inch of clearance between the top of that cage and the ceiling. And dude, the worst part of it was a 4 foot by 2 foot melamine cage.
Oh,
so that fucker, it got up there and it wasn't moving. That's all I'm saying. It was there. It stayed there until.
It's still there today.
It still might be there today. No, I remember like, okay, it's time to, move all that stuff out of there. And I remember asking my dad for it. So my dad used to always be like, hey, if you ever need help, let me know. So I remember I never really ever asked him for help. I didn't really need to. But I remember asking him for help this one day. He's like, yeah, what do you need me to hold a snake or, whatever you need me to do. I was like, actually, no, I need your help lifting this obnoxiously heavy enclosure from very tall above our heads onto the ground so I can use your sledgehammer and destroy it.
Jeremy. That is now a load-bearing cage. It's now part of the house.
Yeah, it now goes with the house. Like, no,
Fuck. Oh no. Oh my god.
I'm very glad I don't use melamine anymore.
Oh well, that was. I mean, at one point everybody had it, but then everybody fell into the no matter how many people warned you ahead of time that if this stuff gets wet, if this stuff does it's this, ruined. It's going to disintegrate on you.
Yeah.
Everybody at one point was like, I'll take a melamine cage. And then we all regret it instantly.
Yeah. 100%, dude. I remember when I had gotten all those 32 quart racks, I got them from Mark Venhorst, Boa Master. And at the time, he didn't have the PVC option. Everything he was doing was melamine.
He just had the melamine stuff.
Dude,
yeah.
2 weeks after I had gotten those racks, he unleashed or unveiled the PVC lines for everything. And I was like, you motherfucker. I was so upset. I'm like, do you know what it took for me to lift that thing on top of the other one? Oh, God. Dude,
God.
That's so hilarious. Bad. So freaking bad.
I know a guy who spent a ton of money on Boa Master cages for his monitors. I'm like, well, this was a dumb decision. He's like, it'll be fine. I'm like, all right. Later, when we're pulling out what was left of those cages from his basement, because they're monitors. I mean, come on.
They go through everything. literally
Yes.
everything.
Yeah, I think melamine's probably the worst material you could use for a monitor
Yeah.
enclosure.
Yeah, exactly. You got to do stone. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Cement,
Hey, here's
yeah.
your tile kitchen with marble countertops. Have a
There you
good
go.
day.
That'll hold him.
With
Like,
a
yeah.
140 basking spot. Don't mind it. It's
Yeah.
cool.
It's fine.
No,
It's
that was a
totally fine.
dumb idea. So,
Oh my god. Oh, that just sounds like a bad day. Oh my goodness.
Dude, shout out to
Well,
melamine.
yeah. Again, that one hurdle that every herper has to get over. Like, eventually, you all get melamine. Eventually, at one point we all bought a pinky pump. Why? We don't know.
Nah,
Yeah.
I'll use it one day. It's
Yeah.
fine.
No,
It's
one
fine.
Never
time I'll use it,
uses
I
it.
guess.
Yeah.
Just to see if I know how to work it, and then I'll
Yeah.
be like, "Why
Yeah.
did I buy this thing?"
Dude, you know what? I don't think I
the
ever
disc does
owned a
nothing.
pinky pump. I don't think
Oh.
I ever owned a pinky pump, but I remember consistently staring at them like, I should probably get one of those. And I never pulled the trigger. I don't know why,
They are the
but
dumbest invention ever because, like, you have to use the special serrated disc. Well, that's useless. That is a piece of shit. And I remember doing it for my first clutch of carpets. I had, because I had no idea what the hell I was doing, and I had like 1 or 2 non-feeders, and I tried using the pinky pump, and about try number 5, when nothing got into the snake and it was all over my hands, I was like, this is a dumb idea.
Terrible. Yeah.
This is the worst thing ever, and pretty sure like that was a dumb move. So yeah, I have it still just so I can stare at it and go, idiot.
You gotta frame it on the wall and be
Bought
like,
that.
"This is for posterity," you know.
yeah,
Exactly.
oof. It's like me first dollar.
Yeah, just like frame it, hang it up.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
dumb.
It's like, could you just imagine, like, you just have like a shelf of like all the really cool things, like trinkets you've gotten, or just really cool reptile related stuff, like books, or maybe like an alligator skull or something like that, and there's just a pinky pump.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're like, the hell is that freaking evil thing doing on this shelf? And you're like, it's to remember what once was.
But
Like, have you used
it's
it?
to
Nah.
remind you that when people say you absolutely need this thing for reptiles, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
maybe that's not true. So,
That's true. That's fair.
Dude.
Yeah, I'm fair. That's
Dude,
fair.
it's like things you need for reptiles: thermostat.
Thermostat. There you
Things
go.
you don't need
Thermostat.
for reptiles: pinky pumps.
a thing to shove the juices from the pinky you freshly squeezed into its mouth. Like that. No.
You see,
Yeah.
I didn't have a pinky pump, but I did use those like oral syringes to do that sort of stuff when I had baby Candoia, and
That makes more sense.
Yeah,
Like
it was-
gavage. Like here's the thing. Gavage is a thing. Like that's a thing that I went to college for small animal science, and that's something they taught us.
Mhm.
And it's a thing. Serrating an infant animal through some sort of large syringe is not like
Yeah.
that's stupid. Like,
Oh.
Dude,
no.
if there was
No.
like a beginner's guide for reptile keeping,
Mm.
I think if any context of like pinky pump or braining
Oh yeah.
rodents
Yeah.
or anything, or scenting just in general, if any of that was in the beginner's guide to keeping reptiles, we'd lose a lot of people.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
right off the rip.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the first time I like had hatched corn snakes, and I had like a percentage of the clutch that were just not feeding. And I remember talking to Adam Harris, and he's like, yeah, you might need to like brain the pinkies. And I was like, the fuck does that mean? And he's like, oh, you literally have to like cut the skull of the
Show them the
pinky
brain.
open. Yeah.
What?
And I was like, that's terrible.
Evolutionarily, when would that ever happen?
Yeah.
Come on, tell me,
Yeah.
please.
And he's like, it's a trick, and it'll probably work. And sure enough, it did. And I was like, that was terrible. But I'm ready to breed corn snakes
You're like,
again.
I feel like a monster. Why did I do?
Dude, legit.
I love those moments where you're like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then it works. You're like, well, I'll be damned. Like,
Yeah.
all right.
Dude, well, no, that's like the put the neonate in a 4-inch deli cup, and then
Mhm.
put that
Pit
with the
light
feeder,
pinky
and
in
then
there,
put that in a
Brown
dark
paper
bag
bag,
or
yep.
something like that, and then it'll
Or-
eat. And
Yeah.
dude, that has saved my ass so many times. But I remember telling it to Faith and Julia down at Zoo Creatures,
Mhm.
because they had some, I think it might have been like a picky carpet python or something. And I was like, you can try this. And they looked at me like, there's no fucking way that's going to work.
Next day?
And then the next day they're like, so we did your trick and it worked. I'm sorry because we laughed at you a lot after that.
My favorite is the take it for a drive.
Oh my
where it's
God.
like,
Yes.
You put it in a deli cup and you drive to a friend's place and then you drive home and then the thing's like, clearly I'm in a new environment and it eats. And you're like,
Yes.
What? It's the same bin. I changed nothing. That's a good one.
Yep.
The one that I'm recently been obsessed with is feeder fish
Yes.
for pythons.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Where I'm just like, because I have the baby rhinos and I have all these feeder fish to get them going, and then I had 2 non-feeder carpets, and I'm like, fuck it, and I threw it in there, and they went for it. I'm like, well, shit, I've learned something today.
Yep.
So whatever, dude. Yeah.
What works works. That's what's most
Whatever
important.
works.
Yep.
Dude, yeah.
Yep.
Yep. These are the things you learn
Uh-huh.
the longer you're in this industry.
So,
Now I'm walking through the supermarket and I'm like, chicken legs? Yeah, I'll feed those to
yeah, I can
snakes.
feed that
Frog
something.
legs? Sure.
Dude,
It's
I
the
feel like
second-
that's one of the reasons why I feel like sometimes people just get a Crebo or
Mhm.
something because they're
Yeah,
like, I'll
exactly.
literally just feed this a chicken leg.
Yep.
Like,
Whatever I find.
yeah.
If you so that's what when you get into large colubrids, you get over my snake will only eat black mice if it's held at a northern angle and laid down like right in front of it. It's like Dimercon, you put the food in the bowl, you put the bull in their cage, and you get the hell out of the way.
Yeah,
Here they
it's so
come.
true.
It's a freight train.
And
It
I've
is
had like
so
pictures.
true.
I've had pictures of my blue beauties with like pieces of flounder and a mouse hanging out of its mouth as it's eating both at the same time. I'm like, I love this.
Oh, dude, seriously.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're just like, food is food.
Yeah.
That's all
Whatever
I
it
want.
is, it's food. Yeah.
That's all I want. Easy feeding species for the rest of my life. I just want nothing but garbage disposals because then I don't need to worry about it anymore.
But
So,
rhino
yeah.
rats.
That was a mistake.
But Dominican red mountain boas.
Oh, I hate those things.
Dude, we bred those for
I
so
outsourced
long.
the Dominicans. I
Yeah.
outsourced them. So like my friend of mine's like, I love Dominicans. Cool. You want to breed them for me? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
off they went. So
You deal with the
Um,
babies.
I can't. And I'm saying this, and I have a Madagascar. I have a captive born and bred mad hog downstairs that's on geckos, and I'm like, I don't like it, but I do this to myself. Like I
Yeah.
bought this thing.
Dude, I feel that.
So
Yeah.
what kind of drew you to the rhino rats in particular?
To be honest, it was something that was they were always kind of like cool in the back of my head, and when I got into it, you were kind of told that bamboo rats, rhino rats, mandarins were always like, oh man, they need special care, and they're a different thing. Which, yeah, the special care is don't plug in the heat, like
Yes,
keep
don't
them
get 'em
cooler,
too hot.
like
Yeah.
don't get them hot. But no one ever said that's what the problem was. They just said, man, they need like a refrigerator. What? They need to be in
No.
like a refrigerator. Like that's not true.
No.
But there was kind of on a unobtainable, like I'm not good enough. I'm down here with my pythons. If I touch that thing, it'll break and die. So I had one of my experiments with green tree pythons that ended poorly. I had one remaining green tree that was, I think she was a calico from Buddy Buscemi. And Buddy had just hatched out several clutches of rhinos, and I'm like, hey man, I have this gorgeous female. I'm doing nothing with her. You produced her. Do you want her back? And he said, well, let's do a trade. Do you want a trio of rhinos? I'm like, I would. And
Yes.
I did it. And I'm like, I remember talking to Rob Stone. I remember picking them up at a Carpet Fest, and I had them, and I'm like, these things are cool. But then I kept getting more and more people wanting to see them and were interested in them. And Mike Curtin sat down on a sofa. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen, Mike has like these librarian glasses that hang on like a chain in
Yes.
front of him.
Yes.
Yep.
And he sits down and he pulls out the rhino, and then he puts the glasses on like daintily. And I'm like, what the hell is happening here? And he examines the rhino, and he's like, this thing's badass. I'm like, okay. Like,
Okay.
and
Okay.
that was the final nail in the, like, okay, this was a good decision. And then having them grow up and like, dude, they just were in a 32-quart rack in my room, no heat, and they just ate and grew. And this was my first season attempting to breed them, and I got both females to breed. And I'm like, well, shit. Okay.
Yeah, that's freaking
apparently we're
awesome.
doing okay. And that just kind of getting the rhinos kind of stumbled into Chinese king rats and other types of Asian rat snakes. And then that kind of also kind of stumbled into the Madagascar hog. So it's like the rhinos were the tipping point into my kind of like reinsurgence into colubrid stuff, because I kind of had gotten away from it as I got more into pythons. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's strictly because of NPR.
Not strictly because of NPR. I blame actually you a lot. Because I came to nerd with Eric the one time, and you guys left me alone in a room with a cave-dwelling rat snake.
Yeah, holy eye.
The thing was pissed as shit, and it was like, I'm like, I love this thing. This thing is amazing. And it was one of those, like, I went home and I'm like, cave-dwelling rat snake, and there was none available. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And
it be
I'm
like
like,
that.
all right. And then that's actually, that night is when I bought my blue beauties, because I'm like, nothing. These are kind of like them, and I got them. And,
sheesh.
you know, and I'm like, oh wow, and I love those things. They're fantastic.
They're awesome. Did you
Yeah.
get Ridley Eye yet?
Did I get what?
Ridley Eye yet? The cave dwellers.
I did not get the cave. I had cave dwellers for a hot minute because I was babysitting them for a friend, and it was one of those, like, I love these things, but they're so much like my blue beauties. Like, I'm like, do I want to give up cage space for these?
Okay.
If I have these, I'm like, the blue beauties really scratch that itch for me, or at least they used to when they were tiny and like fiery. Now they're bigger, they're older, they don't give a damn what I'm doing in their cage. Like, and I'm like, aw, really? So, I keep
just
chasing
like fast hand motion real quick just to see if anything happens.
I just jump out and scare them every once in a while.
Yeah.
It's like laying there. It's like, what?
Surprise!
Fucking just get the water's over there. I pooped in that corner. Get out.
Yeah.
Like it.
I feel like that's what Cobra Keepers do. They're just like, ha, surprise! And they just scare them like every now and again. They're like, ah, you're interesting. That's cool.
But I am getting a pair of false water cobras next week.
Cool.
Hydrodynasties.
Yeah, I had that was one of those, like, I think I was bitching about it on the podcast, and somebody's like, I have some false water cobra. I'm like, do you? Like, it's every once in a while I have to like complain enough, and then somebody's like, well, I got black-face white lip. Like, yeah.
You had my interest, but now you have my attention.
Now you have my attention. Like, yeah, that's usually how it works. Is I just have to complain enough, and then somebody in the reptile industry just gives me what I want, so I'll shut up and move on to a different topic.
So rough scales. More rough scales is what he's saying. If you're listening to this right now, he needs more rough scales.
I do. I always need more. I like, that's when people are like, oh man, when are you going to produce rough scales so I can buy one from you? I'm like, buy one?
Not for you.
These are mine. Like, they're not for you. Like, it's.
I get that all the time with the scrubs. People are like, so when you get that first clutch of scrub pythons, I can buy some. And I'm like, no, not at all.
If one's born without an eyeball, I'll consider it. But until then,
like,
you
gotta wait for the third clutch.
I probably will love it.
Oh, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth?
It definitely is.
So rough scales, what was it? Just like their rarity? What really has got you holding your attention with the rough scales?
The roughies were one of those things that, were always seen as, like, again, nigh untouchable. It was rare as hell, and I loved the story that Mark O'Shea put forward, and I watched that whole thing that he did of trying to find them and stuff like that. And then I'd heard kind of rumors that they were in the States and that they were kind of moving around. And then, again, I bitched about it enough on the show, because I remember watching one show where Brian Barczyk went over to Australia, and he's holding a roughie, and it is just tearing him apart.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, as he's trying to do this thing about how cool this thing is, it is just lighting him up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he is just like me, so overjoyed that he has this thing, he doesn't care. Like, he he could be dying of blood loss, whatever. This is awesome. Like,
Yep.
it's just one of those things.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I remember just like thinking about it, and then I got contacted by some guy who had bought 2.2, and turned out that he only had one female and the rest were boys.
Oof.
So he offered me a pair of the two boys for, I think, a bunch of caramel carpets and stuff like that at the time, which I don't think I boxed them up fast enough. Like, it was, he's like, which, yes, they're on the way. It's like, oh.
They already left. They left yesterday. They'll be there tomorrow.
I'm driving them to you. I'm out in LA, dude. Like, yes, I know. Like,
I'll be there.
It was just one of those things where, and I remember getting them, and oh, dude, it was like they arrived in a blizzard. He had packed them with some sort of hand warmer. It was, and they were almost, they were cold and stiff when I got them, and I thought they were dead. And then they kind of came back, and I was just, yeah, it was insane. And those were my first two boys. And I sent one of those boys to Nick when Nick lost his male.
Mm-hmm.
And so Nick was able to reproduce. And then I lost my other original male, I think it was 2 years ago, to cancer. So, but in that time, I had picked up a pair from Dave D, and that's the pair that I have right now. So, you know, at one point I had, you know, 3 of them, and now I'm down to 2. So, and I'm hoping to get more. Like, produce them myself. Like, stop spending money on the same animals. Just make more. So.
Yeah, dude, I think they're just so freaking unique. They're definitely a species that's on my need to get list.
They're one of those where it's really cool when you look at it. It's really cool with the eyes, the threat display, the feel, but then the story of, like, you know, some dude nearly died. There was a fire, some helicopter crash. Like, the whole thing that was going through the whole thing of having to get these animals, is what I can really appreciate. And it's kind of like every once in a while you got to take a step back and be like, this thing's in my basement in Pennsylvania. Like, it should not be here. Like,
yeah, for sure.
And hanging out with Gavin Bedford when we went to Darwin, the Owen Pelly is just the same thing now. And if you want to tell me how obsessed I am about those things, I mean, oh my God, like, I would love those things. And again, it's just the story of him having to pay like 20 grand to charter a helicopter to take him to a spot in the middle of nowhere where there's like 3 rocks where he happened to find one. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, and all that stuff. So
they're
definitely
such an interesting looking snake. Like, I knew of them, but I hadn't really done a lot of research on them. And then after listening to a little bit of NPR and like hearing a couple different stories about them, I was like, I need to like look more into this and see if I can find some pictures and stuff and more information about it. And I'm looking at pictures of their body, and I'm like, they're so unique. Oh my God, they're so much different than everything else. They're like the Apodoro, where they're just like so different than everything else. And I love that. It's so freaking interesting to me.
It was one of those things where I was kind of on the same page. I knew of them, but then when we heard, when Rob and Eric were kind of telling us that we're going to go looking for them and stuff like that, I started doing more research, and then I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm kind of glad that I didn't get too deep into the research before we met Gavin, because I'm pretty sure I would have just been like an idiot the entire time, more so than I know I already was. So, like,
oh, that's great.
Yeah. But no, it was cool. They're on my list.
I'm just waiting for them to be like, oh, they're in Europe. And I'm like, aha,
there it is.
The clock has started ticking. It's 10 years before they're in the United States.
Yeah,
that's all I need.
Exactly. Sheesh.
Oh, my God. That would be something else. Something else. I don't know why Australia doesn't just like, hey, if we captive produce these things, we can export them. They really need to do that.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, apparently Gavin has captive born and bred babies that he's like, I can't really sell them. I'm like, what? Like,
yeah.
That's frustrating as hell.
Yeah.
It is. And then also all the really good carpet morphs, new bloodlines of this, that, and the other thing over there. There's tons of stuff over there that I wish that if you could prove that it was captively produced, I don't see why you can't export it. I mean, I know their arguments, and I understand their arguments. I just think their arguments are stupid.
I agree.
So,
I'm going on the record to say I agree with that.
Yep. Same.
Ugh. But
give us the good shit.
Yeah, that's all I want. I'm only going to take a little.
What was it like being in Australia? Because I've never been to Australia. So what was going through your mind when you like touched down and as things progressed for your trip?
I tried to get into like the. I was pretty much doing it that this is like going to be a trip of a lifetime kind of a deal. Like I may never get back here again, so
With COVID,
enjoy it.
I mean, yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. Well, that's the other thing is that we're gearing up, and it's like the week before we leave, and I have this like horrible sinus cold and all this other stuff, and I'm like, no,
No,
like,
no.
no, and I'm like drinking orange juice and like whatever pills I can put in my body, like I'm no, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse, and then the day we left, I was feeling terrible. And I remember my stepfather, he's like, well, did you insure the trip? I'm like, no, I'll die in Australia. Like, no.
They'll sprinkle my
Eric
ashes
will
in the
bury my
outback.
body there. He'll know what to do. It's like, what? So we get there, and I remember getting on the plane to Eric and I flew to LA, and we met Rob and Keith in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember by the time we met up with Rob and Keith, I'm like in delirium at this point. I'm gone. And it's a 13-hour flight from LA to Brisbane, and then it's another couple hours from Brisbane to Darwin. So on the plane ride from LA to Darwin, I'm sorry, to Brisbane, thank God we flew, that Qantas takes care of you so well, because I'm like under a blanket, sweating to death. I wake up and there's some person there like, would you like an ice cream? I would. And then I eat it and pass out. And then you wake up and it's like, it's sandwich time, sir. I'm like, what time is it? Like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, okay,
it's
eat the sandwich, pass
time.
out. Yeah. And then that got you to Brisbane. When we landed in Brisbane, I actually started feeling better. But then there were certain parts of the trip where it would hit me again, and I'd start sliding downhill. Luckily, Keith's wife, Teresa, packed him like some sort of like medical kit that would be like used in some sort of Army Corps of Engineers. Like, it was fantastic and had wonderful flu drugs in it and literally kept me alive. Like, it was. So the last time when Eric lost his phone on the mountain, they went back to go look for it, and that was when they left me in the hotel room because I was dead. Yeah. So after that day where they literally left me and I just slept for like 6 hours, I was good, and that was fine. Of course, that was like 4 or 5 days into the trip already, so it was one of those. But it was cool. It was surreal. It was, it's like every moment. I mean, I'm sick. I'm walking around and I feel like crap. But then we find a snake and I can go for another 2 hours. I swear to God, I'm fine. Is just the adrenaline builds you up, because the first night we were there, we're walking through Fog Dam, and I'm like, the words "can we go back" are like in my mouth, and then I find a water python, and then I don't want to stop. Yep. Like, it's just that's just how it was. So it was really, really cool, and I'd never done a big herping trip like that before, so yeah, it was totally fun. I want to do it again so bad, and if they go looking for rough scales without me, I'll disown all of them.
Ye be warned.
Yep.
Oh, sheesh. Were there any other like massive target species that you found when you were out there?
I wanted to see a croc in the wild, a salty. Mm-hmm. We saw signs like slides and footprints and stuff, but we didn't actually see the crocs, which is why we went to Crocosaurus Cove, and they're like, would you like to pay this much to go swimming with the croc? I'm like, I would. And I put the money down, and I'm like, and Eric's coming with me. And Eric's like, what am I doing? I'm like, shut up. Like, just get in the tube. Like, it was
just get in the tube.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, I may never be here again. Mm-hmm. Fuck it, I'm doing it.
Yep.
So we would have loved to try to get all the python species in Darwin. We missed one. We missed olive python. So that would have been cool to get. I was really kind of hoping for that. But, dude, I mean, I saw everything I wanted to see as far as reptiles. I mean, from the frill lizard to, the Owen Pelly and all that fun stuff. So we got all that stuff, and it was really cool. I would have also liked to maybe see a death adder, but we didn't get one of those.
I love death adders so
Um,
much.
Yeah, and that was the thing. It's like you're spending days tromping through like ankle high brush, and then you go to the zoo and you see the death adder laying in the same like shit you've been walking through, and it's disappearing, and you're like, oh.
I probably stepped over 8 of them.
I'm like, I probably just that's not good. Like it was. I probably came real close to death several times. Like it was. But that would have been cool. But even, dude, I love the Australian mammals, so I was bugging out with kangaroo. We found an echidna just walking across the road, and
yes.
That's
we're
badass.
We're on Durat Road, which is supposed to be like the olive python heaven, and we're getting night tigers and nothing. And I think Rob was driving, and Keith was like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, "It's an echidna," and I'm like out of the car before the car is stopped. Like,
Yes.
and I'm just running, and this poor animal is like, "Holy crap," and just balls up. And we're just taking pictures of this thing, and I'm like, "This is amazing." Like, yeah.
Meanwhile, that poor echidna is probably
Holy
still
shit.
fucking traumatized.
That thing is so messed up.
Dude.
Yeah, it was not good. Yeah.
Dude. It's like on a bad meth trip.
Oh no.
Because the problem is that I'm there and I don't bring a camera because Rob and Eric have spent a shit ton of money on cameras, and why? I just steal their pictures. So
There you go.
Hey,
I was there. I'm just there for plucky comic relief. But so they're taking pictures, and I'm just like, oh my god, like just taking it all in. I mean, Rob's camera, all of a sudden it's like daylight in front of this animal. Like
Jesus.
when the flash goes off, and it's just like, oh shit, like it is. But I mean, detail is hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, we probably messed up several animals. So.
What happened? Americans.
Americans came, and now I can't see. Like, yeah, it's,
Tourists. Fuck.
But no, it was cool. I wish I could go back. It sucks because it's like you're sitting here and your Facebook's like, this is where you were last year, and this is like we were in Australia last year, and I'm like, oh, like,
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
it's just depressing.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm already not looking forward. So the last couple of years, every January, I've been out in LA for a big convention, music-related convention out there, and the one that was supposed to be happening in this January for 2021 has already been canceled. So it'll be the first time in the last few years that I won't be out in LA in January, and I'm like, this sucks for two reasons. One, because I always get to hang out with a lot of really great friends, and two, I get to escape the frigid northeastern winter for about a week. And now that's not happening, so I might have to just find a way to make that happen.
Yeah, just go someplace and be like, warmth, like just.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, you still got that couch? Cool. I'm coming.
Yeah, cool.
I'm coming to inhabit it. Yeah.
So, seeing some of those animals in the wild, has that changed how you kind of keep and work with your own animals in your own collection? Eric kind of talks about that a bunch on NPR. Has it changed how you kind of look and approach your own collection of snakes?
I would say definitely, because the weird thing about Darwin is like it's 100 and something degrees during the day, but then it's 70 degrees at night, and that's when the snakes are moving. Mm-hmm. So I would say that normally in the past, I would have set a basking temp for my animals, and then that was it. Like the cage, if it's not breeding season, the cage is 84 degrees. Like that's it. Now what I've actually programmed in with my herp stats is that the heat peaks at like noon and then drifts back down to 70 at nighttime. And this does it every day. And just naturally, I mean, maybe not go down all the way to 70, but further down. Like there is a spike in temperature and then a lull. And then the room is naturally, like right now it's getting colder just because of what's going on outside. And it's actually going to start dropping. So I've kind of started using my herp stats as more of a safety net than as a driving force to get the cage to a certain temperature. And my animals are hungry as hell. I haven't had anybody get sick, and they're all looking in great shape. And like I said, they'll eat anything. So it's definitely been working out a little bit better. It's kind of like I feel like I need to almost teach them that the temperature is going to rise like a sun and then go down. And it's been working out so far. So
hell yeah, that's pretty sweet. And so I heard that you are trying to become America's next biggest reticulated python breeder. Can you tell me a little bit
Nope,
more about
get
that?
rid of them. Nope, get them out of my house. Um, so I have 3 retics right now. One was a gift from Matt Minatola.
Mhm.
And she's a platinum Motley Tiger something. I shouldn't have this animal. She's wasted on me. She's a gorgeous female and she's got a great attitude. And I'm like, somebody could do a lot with her. It's a shame she's here. It's a shame she's here and I love her and I won't let her go. So but my fiance wanted a normal retic, and rather than do the smart thing and call many of my friends who do retics and just be like, hey, can I get a normal that's not a dickhead? I got a normal a visual normal het female from a friend of mine and a pied male. And I'm like, yeah, all right, we'll see
That's
how
a
this goes.
mistake.
They're idiots. Oh
Yeah.
my god, and they're horrible creatures.
Piebalds.
And,
Yeah.
and I fed them, and they eat rabbits, and now they're bigger. It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
So,
Dude, but you know what though? If you'll keep them in a smaller cage, they only grow to their size of their environment.
oh sweet, I'm gonna shove them in a 20-gallon.
So-
Views
But
expressed on Reptile
the
Talk.
male learned a fun trick where if he sandwiches himself between the central support and the glass, and he
Pops it
pushes
out.
hard enough, the glass will explode and he can get out.
Yeah.
So he did it once, and I replaced the pane with plexiglass. Then he did it to the other remaining glass, and then he got kicked into a 4-foot cage because fuck you. With different style doors because we're not playing this game. So yeah, now that entire cage has been replaced with plexiglass, and I don't want to put him back in there because he's just gonna do it again because he's learned something. So but that was I came home from Texas when we went out to Texas to go herping, and I come down to the snake room. There's glass all over the floor, and the retic's missing. And I'm like, well, shit. And
dude, those are always the best days.
Those are the worst days. That's fucking terrible.
I love it. It's just like, really? Okay, I guess I'm herping in my snake room today.
Yes.
And I'm like, he can't get too far. He's like a 6-foot retic. And I had just built a bunch of wine racks for my fiance, and he was tucked behind them.
Oh.
And I'm trying to get him off, and he's moving the wine rack slowly. It's full of wine, by the way, to the edge. And I'm like, oh, you break her wine, she'll kill you. I won't even have to do it. You have 2 options here, buddy. Come with me and live, or keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And
you're on your own.
Yeah.
But no, I'm gonna get rid of those 2 because I'm just I got them for her and she hates them. So okay, all right, done.
Yeah. That was a smart move. I'm gonna congratulate you on that one. That was a good move. The pieds though, they're like as close as you can get to getting wild retics right now. Like that project is only like 2 generations or 3 generations in of captive breeding.
And it shows.
It shows. Man. They're horrible. They're terrible.
Yeah.
But that's the problem is they're fucking terrible. But he is gorgeous, and you're like,
oh yeah.
I forgive you because you're so pretty, and then he tries to bite your face, and you're like, fuck you, and you close it and throw him back in. It's like,
Yep, that literally sums up all the pies.
Pretty much.
For
That's about it.
Yeah. So, I think I've only met maybe 1 or 2 that are jerks. They're not assholes.
They're not assholes.
But they're
our
jerks,
babies aren't that bad. The babies that we've got that we produced last year are not
they're not
the worst snakes. They're still have their moments, but they're not unmanageable.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then like I'm having issues trying to. The problem is I equate them to, a pissed off baby carpet in an adult carpet body, and I'm like, well, that's just annoying.
It's horrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 100% yes.
Like, no, get out of here.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna evict them, and then probably make another mistake and buy either some more white lips or something else that I shouldn't be owning, like that I can't breed, that just sit here and stare at me. Like, it's fine.
But white lip pythons, though.
Yeah, white lips. That's not a terrible move.
They have been my favorite for a long, long time, and I keep going through points where I have like 5 of them. And then something happens, or I get over my skis, and I end up selling 2 of them, and then the 3 that I kept, one dies, and I sell the other one, and So I'm getting out of the point where I'm like, screw it, every white lip is mine. It needs to stay here with me forever. So yeah.
Yeah, I actually know a couple people who there's one guy locally and then another person who's like a little bit further away. But they've produced them a couple times now, and
Nice.
they just both of them are not big social media people, so they don't really post online, and they are captive bred baby white lip pythons, so they don't have to advertise them anywhere. They sell
No, they
themselves.
don't.
So, but it was so interesting. The first time I saw a baby, like a little tiny fresh hatched white lip python, I was like, "You guys have pattern. What the hell is going on
Yes.
here? What is
Yeah,
what is this?"
That's the thing, is people are always shocked because they're like, I got a fresh baby white lip. I'm like, no, you didn't.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't have spots.
Yeah.
Because fresh baby white lips have spots, and I love it because
It's so cool.
then I'm like, yes, I know I got like a fresh hatchling. So like people are thinking just because it's a small white lip that it's a hatchling. But no, that thing's
Nah.
a year old.
Yep.
Like it's,
Yep. Ugh. The more people know.
yeah,
It's
I'll get more. So I got right now I'm sitting on a reverse trio of golds. I got to get another girl. And then I have a lone male black that just upsets me greatly. So,
Damn. Yeah.
don't worry, I will get the girl. Don't you worry. There are several lone animals in my collection that just infuriate me. Like there's the lone black-faced white lip, then there's the lone female ring python, and I'm like, well, what the hell? Like, I just, what is it up with Bothrochilus and not completing the set? So
Yeah.
I'll get there.
I love ring pythons. I think that they just need a better PR person, because a lot of people who are like casually about Bismarck ring pythons are like, oh, they look great when they're babies, and then they get ugly when they're bigger. And it's like, no, they're not
they
ugly when they're
don't.
bigger. They're just different. They're literally just different, because people love how iridescent white lip pythons are. And if you see an adult Bismarck ring python, even the dark colored ones, they're just as iridescent. Like
It's iridescent with orange.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, no, I remember it was one Tinley Park, and I almost bought it, and then I walked away, and Chad Gray bought it before I could get back to it. There was an almost all black ring python.
Oh,
and I was like, and I
that's
thought
so cool.
I thought it was a white lip. I remember walking, and I'm like, oh shit, white lip, and it's like, no, it's a ring python. I'm like, ring python, and then I walked away, and I got like down to the end of the aisle. I'm like, wait, black ring python. Like,
yeah,
come
back. It's gone.
And Chad's walking away with it. I'm like, damn you,
Son of a bitch.
And that's when he's like, dude, you see it, you buy it. I'm like, those are good rules to live by.
Yes.
Like, it is.
Those are also bad rules to live by.
They're terrible. They're good and horrible all at the same time.
That's how I get into
So
trouble.
you'll be very happy, also extremely broke.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's.
but it was they're gorgeous, and I've had ring python. I had ring pythons in the past. I had a pair, and I remember I had them, and I'm like, and I ended up letting them go. I've been regretting it ever since. I'm like, God, I got to get these things back. And now I got the girl from Eric, and I'm like, mine. And now I'm putting feelers out with friends of mine who have pairs. I'm like, I need a boy. I'll give you some. I'm very much into the now. I'll give you some snakes if you give me the one that I want.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
do you want 22 corn snakes? I'll give them to you if you give me that one python that I want. Like, it's just.
I've been kicking myself for, I don't know how long ago it was that Kevin had that sub-adult pair.
Oh, those were they were adult breeders, and they were full of follicles, and we got them in, and I was like, oh sweet, we're gonna breed some Bismarck ring pythons, and Kevin was like, sell them, get them out of here. And I was like,
I remember staring at them, and dude, I remember staring at them, and I told him, I was like, just give me a number, and he gave me a number, and I was like, oh, it's not the right number.
It hurt my feelings so bad. Oh my god, I was like, why? What? They're ready to breed right now. Like we could literally just throw them together right now, and then as soon as they lay their eggs, then you can get rid of them, Kevin. Then you get rid of them. I don't care. That's fine. And he was like, no, get rid of them right now. And I was like, fuck, son of a bitch.
Yeah. And they sold so damn fast, because I think it was like 2 days later. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking pull the trigger and get those fucking things, and then already gone.
Yep,
and I was like,
gone.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so upset.
That just keeps going to it now, man. I mean, like, if I see something, you gotta call. It's like if you're not ready to do it right then and there, come to terms that it will not be there by the time you're ready, because it's like, and I've had that with people. Like, you know, people seem to somehow think it's flattering to tell me that they want to buy a snake from me 4 months from now, or
Yeah.
8
No.
months from now,
I
and
hate
it's
that
like,
I
shit.
hate that.
I hate it.
cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't-
unless you're going to purchase that animal right now.
right now,
This
and
means
it's
nothing.
I will tell my car
Exactly.
payment. I'm looking forward to paying that payment. 8 weeks from now. That's cool, right? That's cool,
That's
right?
cool. That's
yeah?
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's
guys
awesome.
like that?
But it's like, just and they're almost shocked when you're like, hey, you do know that I cannot guarantee that this thing will be here
Yes.
in 8 months from now. Like,
Yeah.
whether somebody's going to sell it, or I might package it in a trade, or I might decide that there's too much stuff going on right here and wholesale it out. Like, this thing is not guaranteed
Yep.
here.
Yeah.
Like, and that's always shocking to them. But
Yep.
whatever.
That's what it is.
Dude, yeah, that's it, man. They go, what do you mean you won't hold this for me if I don't put any money down?
No.
I'm telling you, I'm going to come back and buy it
Don't care.
one day.
Nope.
Dude, yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. It's like, the olive python laid eggs this year,
Mhm.
and the amount of people that were all over me when the olive laid the eggs was astronomical.
Yeah.
And then when the olives hatched, they were all over me. And then when the olives were up for sale, crickets. Like, it's like, Jesus Christ. Like,
You know what I did this year?
Mm.
I didn't post any pictures of eggs or females or anything until I had the babies out and they had already taken their first meals.
That's
So
what I
then-
am thinking about doing.
It's
'cause-
so much better, dude, because then
Yeah.
you go, oh, well, guess what? That picture's actually from 4 months ago, and the babies are ready for sale right now. So if you're
Done.
serious,
Yeah.
put some money
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Is like, I got people knocking down my door for rhinos, and I'm like, I feel weird about selling an animal that's on, like, fish.
Yes.
I know I shouldn't feel weird, but I almost feel like I want it to be prepared before I let it go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people are like, I'll take it at eating fish. I'm like, I don't want to let it go because I don't think it's ready. And, of course, I'm saying that, and I'm feeding a snake downstairs geckos. And I'm like, like,
Yeah.
so it's okay for me, not for other people. So I don't know.
I feel that, though.
So
I
they-
try and not let any of my stuff go until it's taken, like, at least 6 meals, which, like, a lot of
Right.
people, after 3, they're like, get it out of here. And I'm like, I'm going to keep it for an extra month. I
Right.
want to be sure that when it gets there, it's going to eat.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I've had carpets that they're rolling on frozen thawed, and then when I send them, the person finally gets them to eat a month later on live, and then they're stuck on it. And it's
Yep.
like, well,
Yep. Well, I
sorry.
tried.
Like,
Yep.
yeah. But I mean, like, I try to set up, if you buy something, I want to set you up for success. So,
Right.
if I'm not selling to you, it's not because I don't want to.
Yeah,
Like, it's
for real.
because I'm trying to prevent the 10 million emails and conversations of trying to get this snake that just had its world turned upside down to eat over at your place.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're kind of winding down towards the end of our time here. I know it's quick. It's not a long NPR episode.
Like the 3-hour long ones where I'm just like, are we still doing this? Like,
yeah. Hey, listen, our
Stop.
episode was good, man. I thought we had a good time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know anything about that. 'cause,
Oh.
yeah, they haven't brought me on the podcast. but-
I don't make schedule. I don't do the scheduling. I just show up.
You hear that,
I
Eric?
show up when Eric tells me to, and then I usually ruin whatever carefully laid plan he has, and then I leave. So, yeah.
All right, so we always ask our guests one final closing question. I know you guys got the gambit, but we got just one question to kind of wrap the episode up. And that question is, what within the realm of reptiles, be it something that you're working with or one of your projects or something that you've seen other people working with or just an experience that you've had, what in the realm of reptiles and the entirety of reptiles has got you excited about reptiles right now?
There's a couple. I mean, I would say the work that Gavin's doing with the Owen Pellies is definitely way up there on my list. But seeing the different things, like, seeing Ari opening up that zoo that he's doing in Texas, and Graham opening up all those other places, I'm like, I'm kind of seeing that there's going to be like a little bit more of a spin towards more reptile related, zoos and things like that. And I'm like, I enjoy that. I would like to see that kind of become more of a mainstream thing, and it's kind of more of a accepted things, like, cram all the reptiles in a zoo into one little house. And it's like, okay, cool. You got the rattlesnake there. You got the copperhead there. You got the cobra there. Oh, here's the door out. It's like, okay, I'd like to see more stuff. So I'm kind of interested to see what kind of different attractions and stuff are back there, because I'm huge into zoo stuff, and my fiance and I went to one down in Florida, and they had a bushmaster, and I'm pretty sure I was like shoving 3-year-olds out of the way to get to the snake.
Get out of here!
Yeah, I'm like kicking kids. I'm like, no, get out of here! You don't appreciate this. Like it's something like that. So I would like to see more of that kind of stuff, and the stuff like what Barczyk's doing with his serpentarium and other stuff like that. I kind of feel like there's definitely more of almost like a renaissance of reptile related zoological stuff, and I like it. So
hell
Most
yeah,
definitely.
I'm
I
there
dig
for it,
that,
man.
dude. All right, man. So if people want to learn more about you, where can they search you up?
you have to look into a mirror and say my name 3 times, and then I will appear.
Yeah,
Is it
3
like
a.m.
Bloody Mary?
Yeah, well,
Don't
yeah,
say
while
you
holding
already
a
said
rough
it
scale
once.
python. Yeah, you careful. That's how I used to tell people when they wanted to tag me in things or have me as part of a discussion. You had to tag me 3 times, and then I would come in. So like every once in a while they'd tag me twice, and I would just type once more, please, and then they would have to do it again. So it's
That's great.
But no, if you want to reach me, it's rogue-reptiles.com, and it's rogue_reptiles on Instagram, and Rogue Reptiles on Facebook, and MoreliaPythonRadio.com. We're slowly shifting over to Morelia Python Radio Network. So we're gonna have
Colibri Corner.
I think I counted. We're gonna have 7 shows soon.
Holy crap!
Yep.
Overachievers, god damn it!
Yeah, right. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, slow it down over there.
I know it's
Slow it
COVID,
down.
but
Slow it down. It's been 9 years I've been trying to push that boulder uphill, and I finally got.
Hey, man.
I finally
just keep
ran
it-
over old man Burke, and now I can finally get this thing moving.
oh, that's fucking great.
Now we'll see if he listens to this episode. If he emails me later.
Well,
Old
don't
man
worry.
Burke,
It's It's going to be a couple weeks from now when it actually airs, so you got a little bit of time.
I'll forget I said it. And that'll be even better.
Yeah,
Great.
He'll be like, "What the fuck did you say on the fucking?"
And I'll be like, "What did I say?"
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to be part of the NPR, the Christmas episode where they go back and have clips of what things that you said.
We're supposed to be doing the anniversary show. I think it's not. I think we're going to end up filming or recording that this weekend.
Oh.
And then it's like I think it's only a couple more weeks, and then we have the airing of grievances in the holiday show.
Yes.
And apparently, some people's lists are quite long.
Oh,
Oh boy.
We'll see how it goes. So yeah. Thanks a lot, guys. This has been awesome.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're going to have to have you come on again some other time. And we do want to do an episode with you and Eric to do like an NPR episode.
Yeah, those get out of hand quickly.
That's why we did you separate first.
Yeah.
Smart. That's smart. Yeah.
All right, man. So thank you so much for sharing a little bit of time with us tonight. I hope you have a great night, man.
Yeah, man, guys, thanks a lot, and we'll catch up with you guys soon at hopefully a Carpet Fest or something.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yep. All right, guys,
dude.
have a good one.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Yep.
Boom! That was such a sweet episode. I'm here for
yeah.
it. And so this is a little aside here. We're going to probably be doing a little minute at the end just to let you guys know that we are running our OnlyFans account now.
What?
So it's not nudes of me and Jeremy. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry.
But it is going to be some behind the scenes content of stuff that we're doing here at Reptile Talk.
Boom.
I'm going to be sharing some of the projects that I haven't been able to post on Instagram. I got a really cool thing going on behind the scenes, but I don't really want to talk about it publicly. So I'm going to only share it on our OnlyFans. And then I'm also going to be sharing some behind the scenes stuff of stuff that me and Jeremy are doing, us getting ready to record and do stuff like that. So if you would like to support us and make sure that this show keeps going, check out our OnlyFans, onlyfans.com/reptiletalk.
Boom.
And we're going to be uploading a lot more content on there. And we're going to try and keep it interesting and engaging. We're going to try and let you kind of have input in the episodes. So we're going to put up polls so you can kind of direct the direction of the podcast for maybe an episode or two, where we'll give you a few different options of episodes that you can choose from, and then whatever one is the most popular, we'll do that episode so that you guys can have some input in it. So thank you so much for checking things out. We really appreciate it. And Jeremy, where can people find you if they want to find you?
People can find me everywhere. No.
Brassman Reptiles.
Instagram, Facebook at Brassman Reptiles, YouTube Brassman Reptiles, Twitter at Brassman Rep, Patreon Brassman Reptiles, and I think that is it.
And then for me, Instagram, Rob is Creeping It Real, and Twitter, Rob is Creeping. And then just make sure you check out our OnlyFans. So thank you guys so much.
Boom.
Hope everyone has a good night.